Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of The Drop. I remember my first time seeing an influencer talk about corporate life. It was corporate Natalie, and there was something really relatable to her talking about kind of office life and what I experienced at my job. And I think with B2B marketing, looking at the general campaigns and tactics that are involved, it's a struggle to kind of fuse creativity in. And now I could ramble on and on about creativity in B2B marketing, but today we are specifically talking about influencers in this space. Paige and Serena, thank you both for joining me. I want to discuss this influencer report from TopRank that you shared with us. Talk to me about influencers in B2B marketing, if you will.
Yeah, so it's the third annual B2B Influencer Marketing Report that TopRank Marketing have released on a global level. And for us as a global agency, it's really great to see what brands are thinking around influencer marketing as a service. And this report surveyed 400 B2B marketers and brands who were discussing the successes, also the frustrations, things around best practice, but it's just a really great report to showcase where that growth has come. And I think a lot of people thought that influencers wasn't something that was going to ever succeed in terms of a marketing service and practice. And seeing it grow within the B2B sector is just fantastic, to be honest with you, because it's really showcasing that is a service that's here to stay. And it's also impacting the way that we see brands growing over time, more than we ever thought it would.
When I first started, even just being on TikTok and seeing, how is that actually going to work? We see influencers in the consumer space, and I think even my brain, I wanted it to work so well. So it's really exciting to see influencers start to kind of trickle into this B2B space.
Yeah, and I think the first question that we always see quite a lot is, well, what type of influencers are we going to work with for a B2B brand? The assumption that it's traditional influencers just across social media who sell lifestyle products, like makeup and technology like laptops and things like that is beyond the type of influencer that we would recommend for a B2B brand. And it really does depend on what their objectives are and the goals that they're trying to achieve. But I mean, the report showed the extent of the types of influencers brands are utilizing in the B2B space. And a big proportion of them are actually people that I don't think brands on the B2B side would consider being a traditional influencer. But when you're really drilling down as to what that impact can be, it is the impact of influence. And that's the likes of including customers as your influencers or prospects as your influencers. But also, some more niche industry experts, professors, scholars, past C-suite, representatives, people who have worked in the retail industry for 30 years, who can talk about the change in dynamic of the retail sector and how technology is integrating into, creating a seamless, checkout process, for instance. There are so many people that you can incorporate that I think we're underutilizing, and I think that's due to the lack of awareness around the vital voices that are out there for them to use essentially.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's not just about finding who has the biggest numbers on social media. It's about really tapping into what your brand needs, and to your point about customers as well. The report also kind of mixed in some ways on, to your point about customers, using the right mix of influencers. And one takeaway that I had when I was reading it is that it's not just, using your executives for that leadership, but how can you pair influencers with your executives to share your industry expertise, kind of while elevating your platform, allowing it for those new viewers. I think that will really build upon your credibility as a brand. And I thought that was definitely something worth experimenting with. Serena, welcome. You experiment with influencers kind of in your day-to-day. We have worked together with influencers who are comedians, cybersecurity experts, but some of the influencers are customers as well. We've seen this kind of with our clients who have a platform or a brand, and our influencer's job is to kind of share that information about the company or the product. And I want to know from you, how is the right way to go about this? How do we advise our clients to use influencers?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, influencers are also customers, they're also clients, they're also collaborators in the sense that they also purchase products and services, and just like any other customer. But their public endorsement of these purchases and these services influence the followers' buying decisions. So that's what gives them that influential power. So it's kind of up to people like us to recognize the dual role of influencers as both consumers and brand advocates. And that kind of underscores the importance of authentic product experiences and aligning influencer partnerships with the brand's values that will resonate with the target audience. But I will say that a misconception is that when choosing an influencer, they have to immediately already be a paying customer or client or using the service. But that's where it comes down again to a team like ours, where we have an eye to see potential. And I think that is a big role, and that's how it opens your doors for marketing and influencers. You want to choose people who, not like Paige said, you don't want to go beyond the industry and just using random people who are famous and have a lot of followers. You want to use someone who's in the niche and speaking on your industry already. So you know that your brand and your company is going to resonate with their audience and resonate with what they're saying. And it's going to come off as genuine and authentic when they're talking about your brand. A lot of times you'll find someone with potential and you'll introduce this new product or service, and they'll now become a loyal advocate to your brand or company because they may not have known about the service or product before. So that's another thing that we like to recommend, is just keeping an open mind to influencers and using people outside of the immediate community.
Correct. Yeah. And it does require that experimentation as well. That's another thing that I feel like you're really good at advising our clients on, is it does take some trial and error, right?
Yeah. So a lot of the times we see that all the time. We have to go through trial and error for everything, whether it's PR, social media, influencers, everything takes trial and error. So you could see what's working, what's not, and you can optimize and pivot where you need to. Same thing goes with influencers. So we might go with someone who we think is the perfect person, perfect influencer. They have the followers and the engagement and the reach, and they're already a paying customer or client. And then they end up not doing well because for some reason that brand or the product, it just didn't resonate with their audience like we thought it would. So we have to pivot and use someone new. And the new person might be someone who we had no idea of, or we didn't expect to perform as well.
Or maybe has less followers, right? It's about
Yeah.
their audience at the end of the day. Is there a way that a brand can start with influencer marketing? Let's say if they have a smaller budget, or how does one begin? Paige, do you have something to speak to on that?
Yeah, and I think this links really well actually to some of the data in the report. 39% say that influencer marketing contributes to the success of their overall marketing programs. But what that success looks like is very different for all brands. And if you are somebody that hasn't tapped into influencers yet, you might want to start off small. And starting off small can look like literally just outreach. And I think we really underestimate the value of speaking to people of influence and just generally having an authentic communication, with them and a relationship with them. We'll do this for our clients where, we will identify those key players that are either commenting specifically about their product or service or about that, genre and that service type. And we'll speak to them and find out what their focus is, what trends they're seeing, what they're hoping brands will achieve in the next year in that sector. Really anecdotal type questions that we can get, hardcore feedback from, and share that with our brands and our clients. And that's stuff that they just never would have had access to. And ultimately, I see that as more valuable just because they are the people that are living and breathing that niche, of expertise. They're the ones going to all of the conferences. They're the ones speaking to clients in the same sector on a day-to-day basis, who've probably done collaborations with competitors in the past. And having that insight is just really valuable for our brands to understand what they're thinking, but also help to utilize that when it comes to looking at tactical approaches. Okay, well, in that case, if this is what the influencers of this space are thinking and feeling, then it's probably in the same sense what our target audience is thinking and feeling. So how are we going to craft messaging that's going to resonate with them? And, what we're going to do to utilize this feedback to create something that's going to cut through the noise.
I love that. You're bringing out the inner optimist in me. I feel like it's never too late, right, to begin your influencer marketing strategy. There's so many benefits that this report shared that have immense value. So, improve sales, satisfaction, building upon your brand reputation. Thank you both for providing your own insight, and keep these ideas flowing. We'll see you next time on the drop.